Folks, come along with me as I recreate one of my favorite fall looks. This is gray and green eyes, and as you see here, the gray is kind of really intense. Let's go! Alright folks, how you doing today? This is going to be a voiceover, obviously, because when I'm doing makeup, I try to be in the zone. If in fact you're interested in checking out my full brow tutorial, please go ahead and check below in the description box and you can click on that link. But here, moving on into my look, I am applying concealer. Really, with my concealer, I have no rhyme or reason when I'm doing my own face. I apply it below and I apply it on the lids, and I actually use a brush, but then I go back in and I try to neaten it up with a beauty blender. And then also I apply my my foundation initially with a beauty blender. And then I also take my brush and I go back in, my stipple brush, and I go back in and blend a little. I like both the beauty blender and the stipple brush. They both have their uses. So I like using both of them. I'm not fond of either one. They both do exactly what I need them to do at the time I need them to do it. So again, I'm going in with another layer of foundation. Just trying to make sure I cover up different dark areas, like around the mouth, the corners of the mouth, up under the eye again, and then on my cheeks. Here I'm priming my eyes, and I don't use a particular eye primer. I just use concealer of a lighter color when I'm going to use a light color eyeshadow. So that's my palette from Ulta, and I was sitting there trying to decide which colors to use that I haven't used before. So I went with green and gray. And lo and behold, I really like the way that it came out. So here, I'm basically filling my crease, my lower crease, with the green and blending it in as well as possible onto the next eye, doing exactly the same thing using that green. But as you'll see later on, I'll go in with even a deeper green in the creases, and I really enjoy this color combination, green and gray. I never would have thought, really. So on my eyelid, I'm doing the actual gray, and I really like this. It was like a shining, I wouldn't say silver, it was more so a gray, but it had sparkles in it. So I really thought this was pretty. Fall colors, as well as maybe even Christmas colors. You can take this on into winter if you want to. So on top of the actual silver, on the top of the actual gray, I found an even lighter color, and I went in, and it was more like a light gray, more so a silverish kinda. It was in between the two. So it was in the gray silver family, and one was a medium and the other one was a really light. So I put the really light one near my lash line. And as you see, I'm going in trying to deepen up the crease with a little bit of more green. I really enjoyed that green. The green was really nice. The green was actually super deep. You can use any green that you want to, but you know, gray and green is a really nice combination of colors. I'm not sure on the color theory wheel where they are in comparison to one another, but I like the combo. I really do. So here I'm just going to go ahead and line my eyes. And actually, I had a lot. I normally don't wear a lot of bottom liner. Actually, I don't wear bottom liner most of the times at all. But here I wanted to, because I wanted this to be a kind of glamorous look per se. So I used my smudger brush also to go in and smudge it up a little bit. Make sure that it's just not so intense, a big black line. I wanted to smudge it up, smear it out a little bit, just to make it a little bit more polished. I also got my gel liner with my angled brush, and I went on ahead and put some on the top lash line of my eye. And again, I was kind of going for an intense look because, yeah, I wanted to go for an intense look. So bottom liner and top liner, that's pretty glamorous. So that's what I did. Went on ahead and had some fun putting a thick line on top as well as on bottom. Here I'm just going over that foundation, that liquid foundation with I don't even think there was any powder on the brush, but I was just trying to get rid of that shine. So here I'm highlighting a little bit with banana powder. I'm not even trying to be neat about it. I'm getting it everywhere. It's flying all over the place. It's on my shirt. You know, I feel like a real good makeup artist gets messy. So anyway, I went on ahead and warmed up my cheeks with the little blush. This was more like a not a burgundy, but it was a mixture of about 4 or 5 different blushes because I have a palette and I just swished my brush through it. But it was more like a purple, not a purple, but close to a purple. And then I put on a little bit of bronzer on the top of my cheek. I was like, hey, let me go ahead and snatch this nose and contour it really well right quick. So I did a little bit of that, contoured a little bit of my cheeks, a little bit of forehead, and then I went ahead and blended it in using also another blush brush, but it's a little contour, it's a little angled also. So I got that together, the contour. I had to blend it in a little bit more. I hate when I can actually see the lines of contour on myself or anyone else. I'm like, you know, good and well, you should have blended that in before you came out the house. But I don't say that. So I sweep away all that banana powder. It has done its job. And I go in and I use that same bottom line. I go ahead and I smudge it a little bit more. I felt like I wanted to smudge it a little bit more. And this is sometimes what I do also. Even after concealer, foundation, and banana powder, I go back in with another liquid concealer. I don't know. I just like the bottom of my eyes to be concealed really well. So this is just something that I do. And it also helps with making sure that your liner is even on the bottom of your eyes. But sometimes it smudges in the middle of whatever you're doing. So I go in there and I add a little bit of concealer just to make sure that I'm getting a good crisp line under my eyes. And then also, if you pay attention, it also put that line over under my eyeshadow instead of tape on my face. I'm not sure how I feel about tape on my face. I've done it before, but I just particularly don't care for it. So I just go ahead and use my makeup to create whatever lines I want created. And that's what I'm doing here, going down my nose and my chin, cupid's bow. So now I'm going over the concealer again, but I'm going over it with powder that's about the same color as my skin versus lighter than my skin. So that's the whole point of what I'm doing right here. Then you gotta make those lashes juicy by putting on a little bit of mascara. I love that mascara right there. Pop those lashes on. I love lashes. Lashes just make a look come all the way together, honey. You could be looking like, okay. But then when you put them lashes on, you're looking like, okay. So yes, we popping those lashes on. Giving you luscious lashes forever. I love putting on lashes. People are like, you put them on so quickly, girl. Yes, I do. I know. So I had to do a final check. But I want to go in and deepen up the eyes a little bit. So I took a little bit of that green, that dark green out on the corners. And I went in and deepened it up a little bit, which I think really brought the look home. And I, again, am loving this. And I took a little bit more of that that gray. And I went into my inner eye. And I like to do that sometimes. I like to go back in and fill in different areas of my look just to make sure I got everything where I want it to be. And this is one of my signature things that I do also. After even highlighting the brows or whatnot, I like to highlight with a very light concealer. And I just go ahead and blend it in with another brush. And to me, that just gives another dimension, another notch up on the glamometer. So yeah, that's what I did here. Is I went on ahead, I put it in, and I blended it in and blended it down. And then if you have some harsh lines, go ahead and use your finger to get rid of them. I used Final Seal by Ben Nye, and here we have my lipsticks, my new lipsticks. I just got Heroin by MAC. Hey folks, if you like these kind of videos where I show you how I create certain makeup looks, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe, like and comment on a few of my videos while you're in there, okay? Until next time, give you a big hug from afar. Bye.